Warning: this experiment deals with a very toxic, volatile and flammable compound naphthalene, and it also deals with high heat, fire, and toxic fumes and smoke. Fire safety protocols and all the mandatory safety equipments must be in place. Strictly do this experiment outside in a well-ventilated area using a respirator. Any small mistake can kill you. Hello folks, in this video I'm gonna show you how you can make pure form of carbon from naphthalene balls. Right, so we all have naphthalene balls in our house, and we also know where we use the naphthalene balls. Alright, we use the naphthalene balls as a disinfectant, as a smelling agent, and to kill bacteria, and it is a refreshing substance, right? So it is a white solid, white crystalline solid, and here I have some on hand. You can see we use this in our home, and we put it in a clothes and in wash basins and things where we disinfect the bacteria and we get a fragrance, right? So we're gonna make carbon from this thing. So we're gonna do a combustion reaction of this, which is very dangerous. We're gonna catch this on fire, and so that's why I take that warning seriously, which I've shown you in the starting of the video. And first let me tell you what is exactly the naphthalene and which reaction which we're gonna do today, and what will happen, right? Okay, so this is on the page. You can see here I've drawn the structure of the naphthalene. It is bond structure of the naphthalene, and you can see it's very heavy hydrocarbon, and its chemical formula is C10H8. And to be sure that this carbon is aromatic in nature, we know that there are two types of carbon in organic chemistry, aromatic and aliphatic. This type of compound is aromatic, so you can see here this is aromatic naphthalene compound. And the reaction which we're gonna do today is combustion reaction, where C10H8 naphthalene undergoes the combustion under the presence of oxygen, giving us 10C plus 4H2, gives us the 10 equivalent of carbon and 4 equivalents of hydrogen. Now the 10C, the carbon which we're gonna collect today, because we want carbon as I have mentioned before, and the hydrogen is, we know that it's a highly inflammable gas, right? So it will ignite itself during this reaction, so we will have our hand on carbon, right? So this reaction produces a large amount of heat actually, because it's a combustion reaction under the presence of oxygen. And one thing I like to tell you is that this reaction also works under a high concentration of carbon dioxide, which means extinguishing this reaction if anything goes fail is very difficult. All right, so we're gonna have our hand on a fire extinguisher, because it's a very dangerous experiment, and do this experiment always outside, as well as it will produces lots of gases such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and some methane, right? So these are the main gases which will form. So do this experiment outside, and we're gonna have the carbon on hand. Okay, so let's go outside. Okay guys, so I'm outside here and in an open, well ventilated place, and for the generation of the carbon, let's proceed the experiment. For this, what you're gonna need is this naphthalene ball. I have it in my container as like this kind of balls, and we're gonna need a metal cup to collect the carbon. Always use this stainless steel or metal one. Do not use aluminum or plastic or glass, because plastic will melt and the glass will shatter, of course. You're gonna need a pair of gloves for protection, a match, and fire extinguisher nearby. Okay, so this is a very windy place, so I have to get this container with me to start the fire. It's a very pain to start the fire, so for that, take a naphthalene ball, put it on the ground, get a match, as well as a cup. Put the cup near it, and at this step we need to be very careful and very fast and quick. So let's start the fire and do this experiment. Yes, this will. So you can see it's hard to ignite the match here. So what I'm gonna do first is to cover this. I'm sorry you will not be able to see this, what will happen, but for the fire to start I have to do this. So get a match, ignite it, and immediately I place it here in this container and I try to ignite the naphthalene balls, right? So when it will ignite, I'll be back. Guys, I have successfully ignited the naphthalene ball once, and you can see it's very black turned, and this is where the carbon is. So we're gonna again ignite it, collect the black, a flame will come from it with this cup, and then we'll collect it and see what happens. So I have started the ignition in this way into this container, then ignite it, and you can see it will ignite very vigorously, and you can see black flames coming from it, and so collect it like that with the cup, right? So I'm doing it again. Here, get that ignition and be fast. I'm gonna cover it so that the flame don't go off, and collect all the black fumes with it. I know you can't see what's going on in it, but I can't show you it right now because it's very windy. But collect all the smoke come from it, you will see lots of black stuff will come out. See, as the reaction goes very vigorous, and in the cup you can see it blacked. So do this like it, and do not get this fumes on you, and if it goes out of control, then put the container on it. You can see as here it also works under the presence of carbon dioxide. I'm going to put it top on it. You can see it's very flammable reaction. You can see the container turned black because of the carbon, and this is the carbon which we want. So the reaction is going on very vigorously, and it gets very hot to touch. I'm gonna see what's inside of it now. You can see some carbon formed on this. You can see some crystalline. You can see there's some sparkling, and that's because of some crystalline naphthalene also went on it, right? So I'm gonna do this again like that, and let me collect all the carbon from it as much as I can, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have done the reaction actually, and you can see on this cup I have lots of carbon on it. We can see here some scraped off, so you can see a very uniform layer of carbon formed on this cup. Okay, so let's go back to the lab. This is the carbon. Let's go to the lab and let's do the analysis on it. Scrape off the carbon and purify it to see what we have. Okay guys, I'm back here in my lab, and I haven't shown you what I have did with that cup with carbon. But what I did is I take a spoon and scrape off each and every area of the cup to get as much carbon as possible, and this is what I was left with. You can see a very uniform, some black powder of carbon which is very pure. And this is not directly, I have cleaned that carbon before, which I have collected from that cup, and I haven't also shown you the cleaning process. I'm sorry about that, but what I did is I took the carbon and washed it 2 to 3 times with distilled water, and then 2 to 3 times with acetone to get as much as organic as well as inorganic impurities from it. So this is the cup. I have scraped off all the carbon from it, and this is this much of the carbon powder I'm able to get it. It's much pure. It shows the purity of about 95%, which is very high as compared to a homemade stuff, and you can see that it's much better. And this is not actually a good amount of carbon, but you can use this for few times for experiments, only 1 or 2 times to be sure. But this is how you can make carbon from naphthalene balls. And yeah, if you haven't seen my previous video of my channel, which is how to make an electric oscillator, I've given a link in the description as well as on the display, so go check it out first. And if you haven't done, then please subscribe, like, comment and share the video as much as you can. And thank you for watching this experiment. I hope you enjoyed. So please subscribe, like and comment.